Okay. Okay. Good morning, everybody. We are starting. Parashat Shavua, Vayigash. Also, Parsha, very, very important. I think one of the, as we say, I think that's 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I don't remember, when Yosef said, I'm asking for my brother, I'm looking for my brothers. And here in our Parsha, it comes to an end or happy end, but it's not exactly a happy end because here we have another phrase, which is, Ani Yosef ha'od avichai. I am Joseph, is my father still alive? Which is said, this is the hardest rebuke in the Bible. Those two words, Ani Yosef, ha'od avichai, this phrase is one of the most difficult and let's say, can call it, it's a rebuke concentrated in a few words that is really knocking you down. And this is what happened to the brothers when they heard it. Till now, they don't want to believe that Joseph is the ruler of Egypt, because this means that everything they've done and all their life, from the day they saw Joseph, were living in mistake, and not only living in mistake, doing the most terrible thing you can do. They wanted to kill their own brother, and then they sold him. And you know, there's a phrase they say, Gadola machtio yoter me'orgo. If they would have killed him, it was better than what they have done now. Because if they would have killed him, he would lose this world, but he gained next world. But when they made him sin and selling him to those Ishmaelites that then sold him to Egypt, it was very certain that a normal guy that goes in Egypt to this terrible corrupted place with all the, let's say, the culture of enjoying the minute and enjoying the body and all those things that a young guy, it would certainly influence him. And he was a nice guy. He was good looking. So on top of this, a young guy, good looking, getting to a place where all the joys of the world, all the physical lust and desires can be achieved. What would happen with him? They were sure that when they're going to Egypt, they're going to find him in a whorehouse. And they couldn't believe it, and they didn't want to see it. As we said it last week, the signs were there. He was a spitting image of their father. The dreams came true. Everybody knew the story about this slave that got out of jail and is now the ruler of Egypt. And certainly they also talked about an Hebrewish slave, an Israeli slave that came from Canaan, from Israel. It was well known. Because, okay, there was no internet and no, let's say, Facebook and all those things that we have today, or WhatsApp, but they still had communication. People were going from Egypt to Israel, from Israel to Egypt. There are a lot of questions. And one of the main questions is, what happened to Judah that only now he steps forward and talks to Joseph? Why till now he didn't talk? Vayigash elav Yehuda. Because when we see last week, he says, Man omar la'adoni. He tells Joseph, well, Yehuda, the same Yehuda. Man omar la'adoni, man nidaber u'man nistak. What can we say? There's nothing to justify our deeds. Elohim, God found our sin, and we are now slaves to you. We and the one that you found the Gavia with. So there is an acceptance. So what's happened now? Why now? A few minutes ago, you said, okay, that's it. That's what has to be. It's everything from God. What changed now? There is a small change. Till now, the brother thinks, and especially Judah, that all the problem is selling Joseph to the Egyptians, selling Joseph as a slave. That's the problem. They didn't listen to him when he pleaded them and he asked them to not to do it, and they did it, and they are to blame, and now they're getting punished. But this is okay as long as those who did the deed are involved. You can say that if Binyamin, which was not involved in selling Joseph and in nothing from this, if he is there, okay, so he is paying for their sins, because it's like when you have a wet piece of wood and it's surrounded with dry wood, and you put fire on the dry wood. Eventually, also the wet wood will also burn. And the same here, when Binyamin didn't do anything, but he is with them, so he is paying for their sins. And that's what they say also when you are with a bad company, even if you're not involved, get as far as you can from the bad company, because eventually you're going to pay for their sins. And that's what's happening here. But when Joseph says, Chalila li ma'asot zos, no, I don't want to take you all. Only the guy that was found, the grail, he is the one I'm going to take. And who is this? Binyamin. But Binyamin was not involved in anything. So now Judah says to himself, one minute. Till now, when everybody was involved, I thought that the problem is it's from God. But now, when Binyamin, that was not involved in any of this, when he is the one who's going to pay, this means that it's not God involved. And here we get to a very interesting discussion, which is very hard to understand. Or Chaim HaKadosh, and also the Gra, they say that, and again, be aware that maybe, no, we don't understand the real depthness of what they say. But what they say, generally speaking, that a man which has the power of choosing, he can choose to do bad or good. He has the power, even if somebody was, let's say, God decided that he's going to live, but a man, a human being, decides to kill him, he can kill him. Because this privilege, if you can call it, was given to us from God, that we have the free will to decide to do good or bad. This, of course, goes against most of the opinions of all of our sages, which say a very simple thing. Nothing moves in this world unless God wants it to move. In other words, if somebody was not destined to die, he is not going to die, even if you want to kill him. But Or Chaim HaKadosh says that a man, a human being, can choose if to do an act or not, even if it's not from heaven. And this is, by the way, the reason that Reuven said to the brothers, let's not kill him, but throw him in one of the holes, in one of the pits. And we say, abor rik, the bore was empty, but it says there were scorpions and snakes there. So how exactly is he saving him? Throw him into a bore with snakes and scorpions, this is saving? But what Reuven thought is, when the brothers decide to kill Joseph, they have the power to decide to do things, even though God doesn't want it to happen. But animals, they cannot decide by themselves. They haven't got the free will. In other words, if God wanted Joseph to be dead, now when he throws him into the pit, if the scorpions and the snakes are going to kill him, it means that he deserves it. But if the scorpions and the snakes are not going to touch him, it means that he is not to blame. He didn't do anything. He is the righteous and he has to be saved. And this is exactly what's happening here. Judah thinks As long as everybody who was involved in the sale or in this plot against Joseph is involved, even if somebody is not involved, is there, if he's together with them, this is from God. But when only Binyamin is the one, this is not from God. And here, God asks him to do something. This is his job now to do something. In other words, we can explain and say that the one who's got free will can decide to do certain things. But from the other side, if we want to keep our normal basic opinion, nothing will happen to one who is nothing supposed to happen to him from God. In other words, even if somebody decides to kill this guy and is not not sentenced to die by God, he is not going to be successful in killing him. From the other side, if somebody, let's say, was decided in heaven that is going to be killed, so if this guy decides to kill him, he can kill him. He can also decide not to kill him. So somebody else will do the job. In other words, God turns the things in a way that everything that was decided in heaven is going to happen. How it's going to happen, this is not our problem. That's God deciding. But nothing moves in this world without God. Okay? So I'm not going to go into this issue anymore. But now we understand why suddenly Judah approaches Joseph. And here he tells him the whole story again, which is also very strange. He says, Adoni sha'al et avadav. First of all, he tells him, Bi Adoni. Bi Adoni is very interesting, right? We see here, again, the use of the word in order, what says a double meaning, sometimes even more than two meanings. He says, Bi Adoni, like you say, oh, my master or my Lord, I want to speak with you. And he says, Ki chamucha keParah, you are like Pharaoh. Wow, like he gives him credit. But Rashi explains it's not so simple. First of all, let's say, what is Bi Adoni? Bi Adoni, in me is my master. In other words, this is an interesting discussion here of, let's say, for us, of a belief. If we believe in God, and we understand that God put the neshama inside us, which is a part of God, chelek eloka mimah, the neshama, the holy neshama, the holy soul. Who is controlling us? Is the neshama controlling us, which is inside us, or is Pharaoh controlling us? The side of Pharaoh is the side of the tumah, the side of going against God, the side of worshiping the body, enjoying the physical life, to do all the good things and joys that you have in life. And God is not involved. This is ki chamocha keParah. He's telling him and telling us, I am controlled by my neshama. My master is God, the neshama that is in me. This is what tells me what to do, not you and not Pharaoh. Pharaoh is not going to tell me what to do. In our language, the desires and the corrupt society that surround us, that the society that runs after satisfaction, quick satisfaction, and more money and more thing, and the society, a part of it, yes, not all of it, of course, that decide that the task in life is enjoying life, enjoying the physical things, a new car, a house, a wife, a husband, good clothes, shopping, traveling, diamonds, money. Yes, there are people that's their aim in life. That's what they want from life. And they think that's the target. But we have no problem enjoying all those things. But we use them not as the aim, but as a tool to get to our aim, to our matara, which is worshiping God, which is giving to others. That is worshiping God. Worshiping God is love. In other words, you, Pharaoh, you think that you can control me, that the desires, the body, the lust can control me? No. My master is inside me, which is the neshama, the whole inner Shama. And this is an interesting point to understand. But let's go back to the story. So from one side, it tells him, Bi Adoni, oh, my master. For the other side, it says, you are not ruling me. You are not controlling me. And then he says to him, Ki chamocha kefaro, you are like Pharaoh. And it looks like this is like telling him, wow, you are a great guy. But that's not what he's saying, really. In what he's saying, he says, we all know that you got you to position not because you were a son of, but because you are a clever guy. You're a wise guy. And your cleverness is what put you in this position. Where is your cleverness? Ki chamocha kefaro. You are like Pharaoh. You are stupid like Pharaoh. Why can't you understand? You are blaming us being spies when the only thing that we were discussing was the family. You're asking us about our family, on top of your brother and our father and thing, and you get to conclusion you are spies? This must be something wrong with you. This is not the clever Mishneh Lamelech. This is not the clever guy that got out of jail with his cleverness, with his wisdom, and become the second in command in Egypt. No, it cannot be. So I have to approach you and tell you the story. Maybe this is what's happening here. Till now, there is a translator there. So Judas thinks, what's happening? He's asking a simple question on my family. I'm telling you, we are 10 brothers. One brother is at home. One brother is missing. We have a father, old father, and all this story, and he is blaming us as being spied. Maybe the translator that is between them, this is a big hole. Joseph is in one side, there on the other side, in the middle, there is the translator who comes and asks, well, okay, who are you? So they tell him. And he comes back to Joseph and he lies to him. He's not translating the things in the right way. He's not telling him the story of the brothers and the father, but he's telling him, we came to do this and that. And by the way, years ago, I've been in Mitkan Be'az, in Gaza, where is the jail, where they had the terrorists. And one of them was this, what was his name? Archie-terrorist. He was a cripple. Don't remember, what's his name? I don't remember his name. Never mind, but they asked me to translate for the Red Cross from English to Hebrew, and somebody translated from Hebrew to Arabic, or I don't remember, maybe understand Hebrew. The thing was that I saw how they trying to, let's say, to distort the truth, how to tell lies, which I know they are not true. So in other words, the job of a translator can be sometimes for the good of the case and sometimes for the bad of the case, but sometimes the translator, he is not translating it exactly as it is, or is changing some things, and the whole meaning is different. And this is what Judah is thinking here. This translator is not translating my things the right way. And he says, Ki chamocha kefaro. What is he saying here? Another beautiful explanation. You like Pharaoh. Pharaoh had the obligation, this is one of the requirements for the job, to know all the languages in the area. And Israel is one of the places that he's supposed to know the language. In other words, it says, you don't tell me you don't understand the language. I'm sure you do, because this is one of the requirements of the job. So let me approach you and tell you the story. You asked me if we have a father or a brother. And we said we have an old father and a kid. His brother died, and he was left alone, and his mother and his father loved him. So you said, okay, let me see the brother that is there. I want to look at him. So we said, he cannot come, because if he comes, his father is going to die from sadness, from depression. But and you said to your slave, if he's not coming, you are not allowed to come back here. And that's what we told our father. And someone, he goes and tells the whole story, says, how good from this story you get to a conclusion that we are spies. This is stupidity. It's either you don't understand what we're talking, or you're, sorry to say, super stupid. Blaming us being spies, and now all this thing that's going on, that's not true. And then, cut the long story short, we can all read it in the parsha. It says, Ki echele el anar, sorry. Ki echele el avi v'anar enenu iti. How can I now go back and Binyamin stays here? If I come back like this, I will see the bed that is going to find my father. It's going to kill him. לא יכול יוסף להתאפק, and Joseph couldn't stand anymore. And he says, take everybody out. Doesn't want to be nobody there. In order, one of the reasons is he didn't want to shame his brother. That the Egyptian will see what their brothers did. That they tried to kill him and they sold him. So he didn't want anybody to be there. So they wouldn't be ashamed. ויתן את קולו בבכי, and he starts crying. ויאמר יוסף, and then he tells his brother, אני יוסף ועוד אבי חי. I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? What is he saying? 2 minutes ago, Judah told him that the father is alive. So what is really saying? But this is the rebuke. They couldn't answer him. They collapsed. Because what did he say? You, Judah, telling me now a whole story about your father and how you worried about your father if you come back without Binyamin. And all this story, how he's sad about what happened with me. Where were all your worries when you wanted to kill me? When you sold me to the Ishmaelites? Where were all your worry then? A'od Avichai? How did my father survive this? Didn't you think about my father before? Wow. Suddenly they realize, wow, what have we done? Yom Kippur, after Yom Kippur, they're praying to God. And they think they're tzaddikim. Because they had a court case with Joseph, and they decided Joseph is not suitable for what he's doing. He's a corrupt guy. He is an arrogant guy. He wants to rule. He wants to control. And he's not good for the job. And if he's going to get it, it's going to be a disaster for Am Israel. And his father is going to do it. And we have to stop it. The same way as Yaakov took the blessing from Esau. That's the way we have to take it from him. So they were all those years, they were sure that they are right. The only reason they came to Egypt, because they sold him, they says, you know what, we'll find him and try and bring him back home and fix some things, but they still thought that they were right. But now, when they realize what they didn't want to realize before, Joseph had to tell it to them. I am Joseph, is my father still alive? They realized all the dreams of Joseph came true. And Joseph is the tzaddik, and there are the Rashaim. We see then an unbelievable act that Joseph is doing. We would imagine that after all those years, and after all what the brother did to him, he will hate them. But this is not Joseph. By the way, this is one of the reasons that when we look at the story of Joseph and we look at the story of Judah, and we realize that Judah is the one who was chosen to be the king and not Joseph, because it says Malchut Yehuda. Yehuda is the guy who is going to be, from him comes David HaMelech, and then Bezrat Hashem will come the next king. Why is not Joseph the one? Joseph is the tzaddik. Joseph goes through everything and is successful whatever he is. He keeps his moral, he keeps his virtue, he keeps everything, even if the worst places and even when he's in the top. Judah from the other side sleeps with his daughter-in-law, and he sells his brother. He does a lot of things. And he's the one to be the king. Why not Joseph? Because you see, that's exactly the point. Joseph a tzaddik, he is at a level that we cannot relate to. It's good to see and understand it is a stage, but we cannot, like in the daily life, in certain times, this is why we have Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David. In certain times, you can relate, you have to relate to him, because this is terrible situation, dangerous situation, the galut and everything, you have to go out, you have to be very strong like Joseph. But in the daily life, a normal guy cannot relate to this, it's too high. But Judah, oh, this is one you can relate to. And nevertheless, Judah is not the one that sins and that's it. No, he admits in his mistake. He is doing tshuva. He's trying to fix things that he did wrong. And the most important thing, you know, we all know that people sometimes when they have the power, they don't admit anything. And look at Judah. When Tamar sent him the stick and the whatever he gave them, the stamp, and he could have said, I don't know. I don't know her. Don't know what's this. Okay, burn him. No, He confessed in front of everybody, says, it's me. I am the one who slept with Tamar. I am the father. This is Judah. And with this we can relate. But now, let's see how tzaddik Joseph is. He is not, let's say, this is not real thinking about this level. He loves his brothers and he never stopped loving them. And he's proving it every time again and again. And especially now. Look what he's saying. Okay, now the brothers realize that this is Joseph and they're wrong and he's right. Now he could tell them, I'm going to teach you a lesson, or I'm going to give you things, but this is because I'm a merciful ruler. This don't be sad, and don't be afraid, and don't get angry because you sold me here, sold me, because this is God doing. He sent me here so I can now give to you, to revive you and all the family. Shlachani, he sent me before you to prepare everything for you to come here and don't starve, because I'm going to feed you. 2 years already, there is a famine. People are starving. And there are more, 5 years more. So God sent me in front of you in order to prepare it for you, to be the cure for the disease. And then he goes on and on. You didn't send me. What do you think? You are doing something? No, it's all from God. As we said before this discussion, nothing moves in this world without God. Hey, look what happened. What? Something wrong happened? No, I become the king of Egypt. And you go back to my father and tell him, so did your son Joseph say. And then he goes on, I want to stand on this spot and with this point to finish our shiur today. What he's really trying to do? It's like I told you in the past, this story with the king who had a big diamond. It was one of the biggest diamonds in the world, maybe even the biggest. But one day it fell in a certain angle and something happened and there was a scratch on the stone. The king was very sad. He didn't know what to do. So he asked all the experts and they look at it and says, nothing to do. It's damaged. That's it. Then came to him one of the, he didn't know him so well, but he came to him and he says, my dear king, you let all the experts see and look what they can. Let me see. Oh, the king's got nothing to lose. He gave him the stone. Okay, look. He's looking. And then he's telling the king, you know, my dear king, not only I'm going to save the stone, I'm going to make the stone worth much more. Are you crazy or something? Everybody told me I lost it. That's it. And you're telling me the only thing to do is to cut it to small pieces, to small stones, which is not going to be special thing like I had. And you're telling me that you're going to make it even more worthy? How can it be? So the guy came to him and says, here, look, my dear king, you see the scratch? I'm going to scratch it even more. He says, what? He says, no. I'm going to draw with the scratches the crown of the king with your name. Now you will have a stone that is inscribed in it, the crown and your name. This is going to make this stone unbelievably expensive. The value of the stone is going to raise up the sky. And this is what Joseph is telling the brothers. You think you scratched me. You think you ruined me. You think you did bad. No. Only because of what you did, I am in this position today. In other words, if I wouldn't go through what you put me through, I wouldn't be here ruling Egypt and helping you in the famine years. The big lesson for us is to understand and look at things from the point of view of the truth. Look at things in life, not from the point of view of your desires and your lust, but from the point of view of the real master, which is God, that gave us the neshama, that is a part. To listen to the neshama and do what the neshama tells us to do. To see the picture in real, true eyes. This is the lights of Hanukkah that we lit, that are there to show us the light in the dark, the light of the Torah, the light of the truth. To understand and realize that all this running about on satisfaction after satisfaction, on joys, physical joys, and having more and more money, property, joys, this is not the aim of life. This is not why we're here in this world. Yes, we can take all those good things of the world, and we have to take them if we can, but as tools to get closer to God. Be better people. You look at Joseph, with all they did to him, and understand that in life, sometimes, even if it looks bad, it's only leading you to a better place. As I know in my business, for example, I had a period of time, Hashem wasn't so long, that I had terrible situation. Terrible. But it only gave me the power to see what was wrong in the business, fix it, and climb up again, and even better than before. And this is what God is telling us. No matter what, everything is for the best. Everything is for the good. And no matter what, don't let Pharaoh rule. Don't let Pharaoh tell you what to do, but let the neshama be the ruler. Like Joseph ruled all the things around him. Let us look at the sample, also Judah and also Joseph, to know and see real picture and act accordingly. All the best.
Thank you, Gadi.